Cables, cables, cables! Get your audiophile cables here today! For the low cost of $25,000, you can have these RCA cables. Okay, obviously that's a slight exaggeration, but let's be honest. I feel like anytime you go to a used car dealership or somewhere to buy audiophile style RCA cables, people go insane for the price and insane for the quality, and they make up a bunch of stuff about them that maybe science doesn't always back up. But today I want to talk a little bit about some RCA cables that I found that I have really enjoyed. I have tried all kinds of different RCA cables, and these are the first ones that I've really enjoyed and appreciated. So I want to bring them to you. They're budget friendly. They're actually very cost effective. I'm going to show you what I do like about them, what I don't like about them, and I'm going to go over some of the other RCAs I've used in the past as well, so you can take a look at those and you can see what I'm comparing them to. Alright guys, let's go ahead and take a look at that right now. Alright guys, so here's some RCA cables I've used in the past and some that I'm going to talk about a little bit more in depth. But we had the Monster cable here. This is the M series. We have just the normal Monoprice series. And then we have the Monoprice Onix series. So let's go ahead and talk about the regular Monoprice ones first. These are just fairly basic. They do a really good job as far as the way they're made. They're made fairly well, but they're really basic. They don't have any of your nice coating on the outside. And the thing that I don't necessarily like about these, though, more than anything else, is the fins. If you take a look at these fins here, they're just little slits cut out. This allows you to easily connect and disconnect it from your equipment. However, if you connect and disconnect these a lot, these fins can get stretched out, and over time, they become loose on your equipment. So with that in mind, that's one thing I don't necessarily like about some of these less expensive cables, is they usually have that type of issue. Not to mention, you know, I just really like this braided sheathing on these cables. So this is the Monster M series. This braided sheathing is really nice. It's much thicker as well, as you can tell, than like one of the cheaper like Monoprice ones. And it's just really well made altogether. They even have the fake carbon fiber on there. But the Monster cable also has a problem. Now, the Monster cable's problem is the exact opposite of this. The Monster cable's problem is this gets on really, really tight. As you can see, it's got a twisted connection on there, and I will tell you that there have been times where I've put these on equipment, and then I've tried to take it back off, and I've actually taken off the RCA end of my equipment and had to take it back out of there with some pliers and put it back in my equipment. And that's happened actually quite a few times with the Monster M series. They're great cables. They're very expensive for what they are. And I think you can get better value. And that's where we come to the Monoprice Onix series. Now these were an impulse buy I bought the other day. I just wanted to get something a little bit nicer on the test bench. When I start testing things, I wanted you guys to be able to see some decent quality cables. And these ones kind of fit the bill. They were 97% OFC copper, so they fit the bill there. They had copper sheathing, and then of course they're just very nicely made. They have the same type of braid as like the Monster cable, although this is more of a fabric braid, where the Monster cable is a little bit harder, so it might be a little hardier in that sense, might be hold up a little bit more. But overall, I don't think you're going to have any issues with this necessarily. However, there is a reason why I really like these. These are the best of both worlds. They can get really tight, and they can also get really loose. Now, what do I mean by that? If you notice this has a little bit different of an end on it. At the very top of the end, there's like a chamfer on here. And this chamfer allows you to screw these up. And it also allows you to loosen these. Now, when you start screwing it up, it starts clamping down on that chamfer. So how this is made is that you put these and plug these ends into your equipment. And once you get them into your equipment, then you start tightening it down, screwing it down, and then it gets very, very tight on your equipment to where it won't come out, where you won't have any issues with jitter or anything. And then you can loosen it up if you ever want to take it out and pull it out, and you don't have to worry about pulling out those RCA connections. So it gets really tight like the Monster cable, but it can also get really loose like the other Monoprice, and you don't have to worry about damaging your gear. They really thought of pretty much everything when they built these cables. They are very, very nice. However, there's one thing that they did not think of, or at least I don't think they thought of. They held these cables together with just some of this heat shrink, and you could take that heat shrink off. But the issue that I have comes up here. If you take a look at these are both red on both sides. Also, the markings on the end are exactly the same, which means one thing: you can't tell apart the two ends from each other. Basically, they look identical, so if you're plugging one end into red, it's very hard to tell which other end goes where, unless you either cut these apart or somehow mark it yourself. I don't like that. However, I can live with that, but it does seem like an oversight from Monoprice. Having said that, these are still my favorite RCA cables that I've tested to date, and I'm going to go ahead and start switching out all my equipment with that. In fact, I just bought a couple of pairs of these, and I even bought the RCA to Mini cable as well. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this review, and if you want to get some of these Onix cables, they're very reasonably priced. I'm going to go ahead and put some links in there, both to Amazon and to Monoprice, so you can kind of get an idea of whether you want to get any of these. Alright guys, now if you know of some better RCA cables out there, why don't you leave them in the comments section so I can check them out. Maybe I'll do a review on them sometime. Alright guys, I hope that you enjoyed this. This is Toid's DIY Audio, and I'm out.